Hello, and thank you for joining me. So today, I'm going to start talking about stalking. You've gotten the context of my story, and so now I want to try to help other people and amplify the movement of coercive control laws, because we desperately need these laws on the books. There's only about 6 states that have them. I don't have that list. I'll talk about coercive control laws later on. Laura Richards is on social media, and she talks a lot about cases that have happened. She analyzes these cases. Her brand is Crime Analyst. She talks about how she's developed coercive control laws in the UK and the work that she's done there. But I have shown you this before. You can go to Spark, which is Stalking Prevention, Awareness, and Resource Center. Here's a stalking incident and behavior log, and you can go and print this out. And I'm going to tell you, as a stalking victim, and also I haven't just been stalked, I have endured narcissistic abuse from my husband. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on. And I'm not a professional, and I can't say for sure that he's a card-carrying narcissist. I can't say for sure if he's a psychopath. I will say that, and I will go into that later on. There's a young lady on YouTube who really breaks it down very well. And maybe I can try to insert her video, but, you know, some of this is, I'm having to really learn how to deal with all this cross-platform. So, the differences. I really believe that he might be what they call the dark triad, which is a lot of these personality disorders wrapped up in one. So, but the stalking, because this is third-party stalking, and that's the reason why I'm talking about it so much, because it's difficult to prove. And when you look at the criteria, it talks about how they will enlist other people, private investigators, delivery services, your family. They will enlist these people. They will tell lies about you, that maybe you're unstable or something of that nature, make it up, maybe you're not doing right by the children, and they will use these people to basically stalk you, because that's their way of keeping up with you and not having to do it all themselves. And that's also how third-party stalking, especially in this case, he's able to keep his hands clean. And I believe, hands down, that he can pass a lie detector test. Because all he'll say is, I didn't do that. I haven't done that. I don't have anybody do anything. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because he's not. Because everybody else is. You know, your neighbors. All these people are going to be enlisted to stalk and harass you and make your life a living fucking hell. And I want you to be clear on this. It's torture. It is psychological torture, because you don't know where the next round of hate is coming from. You don't know who to trust. Doctors, professionals, everybody, they will get to these people, and they're very, very good at it. So if you feel like this is happening to you, start this early and hide it from him. And do not let them know. Do not let him know. If you feel like you're ready to get out, and you might be trauma bonded, because they will prevent you from doing so. Because I was held basically captive in this marriage, and I didn't know it. Because I was making my exit plan back here, right? But he knew I wanted to leave because the house was bugged. And I was talking to my mom about what to do. So then he would cut off every avenue of escape that I had. And then when I finally did want to, run home, so to speak, back to Kentucky, he would beg me to stay and cry These people are very, very good actors. And being the person that I am, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And at one time, I kind of felt sorry for him. Don't. 13.5 million people are stalked each year. If you are a victim of stalking, it can be critical to maintain a log of stalking-related incidents and behavior, especially if the guy is doing it himself. See, he's not doing it. He's got other people doing it for him. But if you're in a situation where he's going through your trash, he's showing up on your job, he's sitting outside your house, he's riding up and down your street, he's sending you text messages, he's calling you all the time, document that. I cannot tell you how important it is to document it. Because in the case of stalking, that's the only thing that they will act on, is if he himself is doing it, right? Document this stuff religiously and without fail. Dates and time of the incident. And this also has, description, location, things of that nature. You're going to need this. Third-party stalking, the only thing I can tell you is good luck and to try your best to get out. Because if you've got a family member or a friend coming at you with some stuff or they're defending him, then you know he's gotten to everybody around you. He's 10 steps ahead of you with the smear campaign. And so your best bet is to just get out, find someone you can trust. In my opinion, nowadays, you should already have an exit plan before you get involved with anyone. Have your own secret account, have your own money, and have enough money to be able to go and live on your own for a year. Especially if you have children, because they're going to use those kids against you. So you really need to think about what you're doing when you merge your life with someone else. My advice is to not do it. I see no real reason. The government sanctions it because it's really a form of slavery and free labor for men. That's the reason why you get tax breaks for kids and tax breaks for being married, because this ensures that men have a continuous supply of slaves. Female appliances is what I call them. That's what we really are, female appliances. And now that they are starting to make, like the black woman in Georgia that had to carry, she was in a coma, and they made her carry that baby to term. She's just an incubator. Be careful. Here's your log. You can also go and download the stalking handbook because you really need to educate yourself. And the people, the ones that you feel like you can trust. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men experience stalking at some point in their lifetimes. Handbook is, it's very easy to read. Stalking is criminal, traumatic, and dangerous, because go read the stats about how stalking can escalate. And if it goes unchecked for a longer period of time, the chances are so much higher that you're going to be unalived or seriously hurt. Stalking is common. As I just said, 1 in 3 women, 1 in 6 men. Stalking often escalates over time. So if this is happening to you, you have to nip it in the bud quickly. And if you're living with that person and you leave and they continue to stalk you, you have got to be logging this so that you can go to the police and hope and pray that they believe you and that you did nothing wrong and they will do something about it. Most victims are stalked by someone they know. And it's very common that it's intimate partner stalking. Go educate yourself. Use private windows on your computers, right? Don't let him know that you're researching this, because there's a good chance that he will hobble you before you can get out. Stalkers use a variety of tactics to watch, contact, sabotage, and otherwise scare their victims. In my case, the sabotage was over the top. Everything that I did, he would sabotage it or interfere in some way. And people just have a hard time believing that these people are out there. And listen, let me tell you something. There's more now than ever. You have to be careful. Stalkers often engage in behaviors that seem insignificant or flattering to people who aren't involved, but are terrifying in the context of the situation. Victims often have to explain to others why something scares, upsets, or worries them. We need coercive control laws on the books. As I stated, only about 6 states, and Hawaii is the only one that is making it a criminal offense. And that's on an experimental basis. Stalking often includes following, watching, and waiting. Most stalkers use multiple tactics to monitor, contact, sabotage, threaten, isolate, and otherwise terrorize their victims. Hey, bub. Hey, bub. Sparky. And let me tell you what they've done with the cat. That's another video. And many do so both in person and using technology. Technology facilitated stalking can be just as invasive. Oh boy, can it ever. Threatening? Yes. Because once you realize, like in my case, they just hack. And I believe Xfinity they just give them access. Somebody in Xfinity. Because otherwise, how did that fake employee from Comcast Business even know about the appointment to come here? Because it's an inside job. And that's what these private investigators do. And when you realize that you cannot keep these people out of your personal life, they know everything about you at any given time, and they can go find out anytime they want. It's scary. And I'm telling you, because I'm being surveilled and monitored, there are logs and logs and logs of everything that I do. Everywhere I go, how long I'm there, who I talk to, what I bought, everything that I do. From the time I leave this property, and even, by the neighbors, from the time I return home, he knows everything that I do. Technology-facilitated stalking can be just as invasive, threatening, and fear-inducing as in-person stalking. Friends, family, TV, and movies often interpret stalking behaviors as flattering, cute, romantic, or just being awkward. This normalization can help mask stalkers' abusive behavior. In real life, there's nothing desirable about stalking. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then there's stalking facts, stalking risk factors in this handbook, seeking help. Because as a police officer, this really doesn't work for me. They have a list of resources here. And don't get me wrong, I have reached out to social workers that I've talked to about it, organizations, and then I learned just how limited they are. Most of these, like National Sexual Assault Hotline, National Domestic Violence Hotline, National Human Trafficking Resource, Victim Connect for help finding local resources. Understand that most of our infrastructure around domestic abuse is geared towards a woman being physically beaten. And she's got to get herself, her pets, and her kids out of the house before he comes back and quite possibly kills her. So most of the resources are geared toward this reactionary, situation instead of hitting it at the root. Because when you think about it, girls are trained to avoid being a victim. Don't be too over the top or attention seeking. Don't dress a certain way. Be nice to him and not so dismissive. Because the first thing they want to ask if a woman is raped, can't say the word, well, what was she wearing? What did she do? We have to change this narrative. And they talk about, men being protectors. Men are not protectors. That's rhetoric for women to believe so that they'll believe that they need one. No, you don't. Because they are not protectors. They are predators. And they are trained and raised by other men to be predators and to get away with being a predator. And so most police departments, law enforcement, those systems are dominated by men. We have to get more women in these positions, and women that are really ready, willing, and able to tackle these laws and these procedures. Because I can tell you firsthand that I've had contact with 4 women in law enforcement between the city of Atlanta and Fayette County. And I can tell you they're almost as bad as the men. They are indoctrinated into this mindset that I suppose they think, well, I'm powerful and I'm capable and I'm not some weakling, and this won't happen to me. Well, you don't know that. Because these people just don't pop up and say, oh, I'm a horrible person who's going to ruin your life. If it were that easy, then I wouldn't be in this situation. I realize now, I don't know who he is. Really? I've been involved with this man since 2001. I don't know him. The person that I thought he was, I married the representative, not who he truly is. And I was deceived, and it's wrong. So I'll be back with more about narcissistic abuse, stalking, and things of that nature, because we absolutely, especially at this time with what's going on with the Epstein files, this has to be a movement. We have to change this. Too many women are being killed, unalived. Too many women are being unalived, and too many children are being harmed. And we have to raise these boys better and stop teaching them and giving them this handbook of horrors to inflict upon women. Now, I understand that it's not all men, and women do it too, but it's most of the time it is a man. And we need protection from men, because basically they are predators. And as I've said before, I don't care what color they are, they're going to stick together to keep a woman down. Absolutely. I've experienced it too many times. And I can tell you, no, not all men, but most of them. And it'll be a rare man that's going to step up for you. Do you understand? Thank you for your time and attention.